I cheated and called it self-love, until the man I chose admitted I was never the one. I told myself I deserved to feel alive again. That's what I whispered when Jared texted me at 2 a.m., and I slipped out of bed while my husband slept 3 feet away. 8 years of marriage, 2 kids under 5, and I convinced myself that the ache in my chest was proof I'd outgrown him. My therapist had said prioritize yourself. My friends said you're still young, Instagram said choose you. The algorithm fed me divorce stories with happy endings, women who reclaimed their power, reels about not settling for mediocrity. So I chose Jared. He was everything my husband wasn't. Spontaneous. Dangerous. Successful in that flashy way that turns heads at parties. He drove a car that cost more than our mortgage, wore watches I couldn't pronounce, and when he looked at me, I felt like I was the only woman in the world. My husband, Blake, was steady. Predictable. Boring. He did bedtime every night, packed lunches with little notes inside, kissed my forehead before leaving for his office job at 6 a.m. He loved me in this quiet, suffocating way that felt like being buried alive in stability. Jared loved me like a wildfire, and I was so ready to burn. We met at a work conference. I was there representing the nonprofit I worked for. He was keynoting about venture capital and disruption and taking risks. Afterward, at the hotel bar, he bought me a drink. Then another. He listened when I complained about feeling invisible, about being just mom and wife instead of myself. He didn't interrupt or try to fix it. He just understood. Or pretended to. At the time, I couldn't tell the difference. The first time I kissed him, I told myself it was just a moment of weakness. The second time, in his hotel room, I told myself Blake would never know. The third time, I stopped making excuses. I wanted this. I wanted to feel wanted in that desperate, consuming way that makes you forget you have a mortgage and car payments and 2 kids who need their mother. I started small with the lies. Deleted texts immediately. Changed his name in my phone to Jessica. Turned off location sharing. Working late became my most used phrase. Book club. Gym. Girls' night. Volunteering. I had an excuse for everything, and Blake believed every single one because he trusted me completely. That trust was a weapon I used against him for 4 months straight. My best friend, Hannah, was the only one who knew. She confronted me over coffee one afternoon, her voice low and angry. "What are you doing? Blake is a good man. You have 2 babies at home." I told her she didn't understand, that Blake and I had grown apart, that I needed more than he could give me. I said I was finally putting myself first, prioritizing my happiness, refusing to shrink myself for someone else's comfort. All the empowerment language I'd absorbed from social media. She looked at me like I was a stranger. "You're not empowering yourself," she said. "You're just being selfish." She stopped calling after that. I told myself she was jealous. The affair became my entire emotional life. I started detaching from everything else. I'd watch Blake buckle our daughter into her car seat, his hands so gentle, his voice so patient, and feel absolutely nothing. He'd try to touch me at night and I'd fake being asleep. Our son would crawl into my lap, and I'd be mentally somewhere else, planning my next escape to Jared. I stopped going to school events. Stopped cooking dinner. Stopped pretending to care about Blake's day. I was physically present but emotionally checked out, a ghost haunting my own life. I convinced myself I was doing this for me, for my mental health, for my future happiness. The truth was simpler and uglier. I was bored, entitled, and too cowardly to end my marriage before starting a new relationship. I wanted the security of Blake's love while experiencing the thrill of Jared's attention. I wanted everything without consequences. Jared started talking about us being together officially. He'd mentioned trips we could take, restaurants we'd go to, how good we'd look together at his company events. I started planning my exit strategy. Called a divorce lawyer during my lunch break. Googled how to tell your kids you're getting divorced. Started looking at apartments I could barely afford on my nonprofit salary. I drafted the speech in my head 100 times, refining it until it sounded almost reasonable. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. We've grown in different directions. This isn't your fault. We both deserve to be happy." The classic script of someone trying to sound mature while blowing up their family. I thought I had it all figured out. I'd tell Blake I needed space, move out temporarily, let the kids adjust gradually. Jared would be there, waiting, ready to start our new life together. In my fantasy, Blake would eventually understand. We'd co-parent gracefully. The kids would be fine because kids are resilient, right? Everyone would move on, and someday they'd even thank me for being brave enough to choose happiness. Then Blake found the texts. I came home from book club on a Thursday night around 11 p.m., and he was sitting in the dark kitchen, my phone open on the table between us. Our kids were at his mother's house. He'd planned this. The silence in that room was so thick I could barely breathe. He didn't yell. That's what destroyed me. I'd prepared for anger, for rage, for him throwing things or demanding answers. Instead, he just looked at me like I was a stranger who'd broken into his life and systematically destroyed it from the inside. His eyes were red but dry. He'd already cried. Already processed. Already decided. His voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear him. I know everything. I've known for 2 weeks. I hired a private investigator because you started coming home smelling different, acting different. I have photos, timestamps, hotel receipts. I called a divorce lawyer yesterday. I'm filing on Monday. You can see the kids every other weekend if you agree not to fight me on custody or the asset split. If you fight, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you are and what you did. Your family. Your job. Every mutual friend we have. I'll bury you in this town. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. My brain couldn't process what was happening. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to control the narrative, the timing, the terms. He slid his wedding ring across the table. It spun twice before stopping. Jared called me this afternoon. Did you know that? He wanted to clear the air because he was feeling guilty. Thought I should know you'd been telling him our marriage was already over, that we were just waiting for the right time to separate. He felt bad about being the other man. Imagine that. Your affair partner has more integrity than you do. The room tilted. Jared had called my husband. Had broken the carefully constructed story I built. Had revealed me as a liar to both of them. Blake stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. You told him our marriage was dead. You told me you were at book club. You told our daughter mommy had to work late again. You've been lying to literally everyone in your life, and for what? For him? For a guy who just torpedoed your entire cover story because he got cold feet? He walked to the door, grabbed his keys. Turned back one more time. I loved you more than anything. I would have done anything for you. If you were unhappy, you could have told me. We could have tried therapy, taken a trip, figured it out together. Instead, you decided I wasn't worth the conversation. You decided our kids weren't worth protecting. You decided your own pleasure was more important than 8 years and 2 human beings we created together. His voice finally broke. Pack your things this weekend. I'll be at my mother's with our children. Don't call them. Don't call me. My lawyer will contact yours. We're done. He walked out. I heard his truck pull away, the sound fading into the night. I sat in that dark kitchen until sunrise, finally understanding that there was no speech, no negotiation, no chance to explain or justify or soften the blow. I'd already lost everything, and I'd lost it the first moment I'd chosen to lie. Jared stopped answering my calls 3 days after Blake left. I'd been texting him frantically, trying to understand why he'd called my husband, why he'd confessed, why he'd destroyed everything. The messages went from angry to desperate to pathetic. Why would you do this? I left everything for you. We were supposed to be together. Please just talk to me. When he finally responded, it was a text that arrived at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. This got too real. You're great, but I'm not trying to be anyone's stepdad or deal with divorce drama. I thought you were already separated. This whole thing is messy and I'm not equipped for it. Good luck with everything. That's when I understood. I wasn't his future. I wasn't his great love story. I was his midlife crisis, his ego boost, his exciting distraction from his own empty life. I'd blown up my entire existence for a man who saw me as a temporary amusement, a woman who made him feel desirable without the inconvenience of actual commitment or responsibility. He'd never loved me. He'd loved the idea of me, available, willing, asking for nothing but attention. The woman who'd risk everything just to be with him was exciting right up until she actually did it. Then I became real. Complicated. Expensive. Emotional. Everything he'd never signed up for. I called him 17 times that night. Every single call went to voicemail. He blocked me the next morning. The divorce took 6 months but felt like 6 years. Blake got primary custody, 80-20 split. Every other weekend and alternating holidays. Our daughter, Sophia, was 5. Our son, Liam, was 3. The court-appointed child psychologist wrote in her report that the children showed signs of anxiety and confusion regarding the sudden change in family structure, and that maintaining stability with their primary caregiver, Blake, was in their best interest. I'd become the disruptive influence in my own children's lives. Sophia asked why mommy didn't live with them anymore during our first supervised visit. Blake had told her the truth in language she could understand. Mommy made choices that hurt our family, and sometimes when people hurt each other, they can't live together anymore. She was 5 years old and already learning that her mother was someone who broke promises. She stopped asking to call me after the first month. Liam was 3. He barely understood what was happening. He'd ask where Daddy was when he stayed with me, would cry for his routine, for his own bed, for the stability I'd ripped away from him. He'll barely remember me living there. He'll grow up with fragmented memories of his mother as a weekend visitor, someone who floats in and out of his life like a distant relative. The worst part was watching them adjust. Watching them become okay without me. Children are resilient, but not in the way I'd imagined. They don't resilient their way back to trusting you. They resilient their way into not needing you anymore. Friends picked sides immediately. Guess which side they picked? The one who showed up to every school event, who coached t-ball, who hosted playdates and remembered allergies and packed thoughtful birthday gifts. The one who didn't abandon his family for hotel sex and the fantasy of being young again. Our couple friends disappeared overnight. The group chat went silent. Invitations stopped coming. I become a cautionary tale at dinner parties. Did you hear about Blake's wife? Can you believe what she did? Blake's family cut me off completely. His mother, who'd been like a second mom to me for 8 years, refused to speak to me. His sister blocked me on everything. They closed ranks around him and the kids, protecting them from me like I was a threat. And I was. I was the person who'd hurt them all. My own mother told me she was ashamed. We had lunch 2 weeks after Blake filed, and she cried into her salad. I raised you better than this, she said. That man loved you. Those babies needed you. What were you thinking? I tried to explain about feeling lost, about needing to find myself, about deserving happiness. She kept me off. Everyone feels lost sometimes. You don't burn down your life because you're bored. You work on it. You talk to your husband. You go to therapy. You don't spread your legs for the first man who pays attention to you at a conference. I didn't talk to her for 3 months after that. Mostly because she was right. I lost my job. Not officially, but the whispers made it impossible. Blake's sister worked in my building, different department, but word spread like wildfire. I became that woman in every break room conversation. The one who threw away a good man for a fling. The one who abandoned her kids. The one everyone's husband got warned about. My boss started finding problems with my work that had never been issues before. My annual review was suddenly full of concerns about professionalism and judgment. I was encouraged to seek opportunities elsewhere. I moved 2 hours away, to a studio apartment in a town where no one knew my name or my story. It was all I could afford on unemployment and then eventually a new job making 30% less than I used to. The apartment is beige and small and depressing. I eat frozen dinners standing at the counter because I don't have a dining table. I watch Netflix alone every night and try not to think about bedtime routines I'm missing, homework I'm not helping with, stories I'm not reading. Every other weekend, I get them for 48 hours. I drive 2 hours each way to pick them up and drop them off. Blake meets me in a grocery store parking lot, neutral territory, and the exchanges are silent and efficient. Sophia and Liam load into my car with their little backpacks, and Blake doesn't even look at me anymore. I'm not worth his anger. I'm just nothing. The weekends are harder than I imagined. The kids are polite now. Distant. They treat my apartment like a strange hotel they have to endure before going home. Sophia asks if we can watch her favorite show, but I don't have the right streaming service. Liam asks where his toys are, but I could only afford to buy him a few things. They compare everything to home. Daddy makes pancakes different. Miss Nicole lets us stay up later. We have better snacks at home. Miss Nicole. Blake's girlfriend. A kindergarten teacher he met at a school function 6 months after I moved out. She's younger than me. Prettier. Patient in ways I never was. She sends me update texts about my own children's lives because they forget to tell me themselves. Liam lost his first tooth today. Sophia got an A on her spelling test. Messages that should come from my kids, or at least from Blake, now come from the woman who's replacing me in every way that matters. I tried apologizing. Hundreds of texts Blake never opened. A letter he sent back unopened, returned to sender written in his careful handwriting. I showed up at the house once, desperate and pathetic, and he threatened to call the police. He spoke to me through the doorway, wouldn't even let me see inside. You don't get to traumatize us twice, he said. You made your choice. Live with it. I scroll through old photos sometimes, late at night when the loneliness gets unbearable. Birthday parties where Sophia's face is covered in cake and Blake's arms are around both kids. Beach trips where Liam is buried in sand and laughing. Christmas mornings in pajamas, the tree lit up behind us, everyone's faces full of joy I didn't appreciate when I had it. Normal, boring, beautiful moments I set on fire because I thought I deserved fireworks. I wanted passion. I wanted to feel alive. I wanted to be seen as a woman instead of just a mother. Those wants felt so urgent, So justified, so important. Now they feel obscene. I traded my children's stability for 4 months of feeling desired. I traded a man who loved me unconditionally for a man who didn't love me at all. Jared got engaged last month. To someone younger, no kids, no complications. I saw it on Instagram before I finally blocked him. She's beautiful and successful and probably has no idea he's capable of helping destroy a family and then walking away without a backward glance. Or maybe she does know and doesn't care. Maybe she thinks she's different. Special. The exception. I thought I was the exception too. I tell myself I'm rebuilding. I go to therapy every Thursday. I work a job I'm overqualified for, making small talk with coworkers who don't know my history. I spend holidays alone because my kids are with the family I used to be part of. Christmas. Thanksgiving. Easter. Sophia's birthday. Liam's birthday. All the big moments now happen without me, and I see them later in photos Blake's mother posts on Facebook. I'm not blocked there yet. She probably forgot. Or maybe she left me unblocked on purpose, knowing I'd torture myself looking. Sometimes I drive past our old house. I don't know why. Maybe I'm punishing myself. Maybe I'm trying to remember what I had. I'll park down the street and watch them in the yard. Sophia and Liam playing with Blake and Miss Nicole. They look like a family. A happy family. The kind of family I used to have before I dismantled it piece by piece for a man who never intended to catch me when I jumped. They built a life where I'm not even a memory they miss. I'm the disruption they recovered from. The mistake they learned to live with. The cautionary tale Blake will someday tell Sophia when she's older and asks why mommy doesn't live with them. Your mother made choices she can't take back, and sometimes love isn't enough to survive betrayal. And he'll be right. I wanted to feel alive. I wanted excitement, passion, the thrill of being chosen. Now I'm just alive in the worst way, breathing, existing, enduring the consequences of mistaking selfishness for self-love. I wake up every morning in this beige apartment and wonder how I convinced myself that what I wanted mattered more than what I had. My daughter will someday tell her friends about her mother who cheated, and I'll be the villain in her story. My son will barely remember me living with them. My ex-husband will marry Miss Nicole and they'll give my kids the stable home I destroyed. And I earned every single piece of this. I don't get to be the victim. I don't get redemption. I don't get forgiveness or second chances or the opportunity to make it right. I get every other weekend and child support payments and the knowledge that I am the reason my children learned that people who love you can still destroy you. I called it self-love. I called it choosing myself. I called it refusing to settle. The truth is simpler. I was selfish, entitled, and too weak to fix what was broken, so I broke it beyond repair instead. And now I get to live in the ruins for the rest of my life, watching from a distance as everyone I love moves on without me. That's not a warning. That's just justice.